I want to talk about the role of the media in creating fear and panic in people over this coronavirus. I was inspired to do this by watching a video in German by Raphael Bonelli, who's in Vienna, and he talked about this, the role of the media in creating fear and panic. So I'm doing this now in English, and my content is a little bit different. Yeah, so we're quite used to the media creating sensationalism. This is what they have to do because this is how they survive. This is how they make the money. Newspapers have to create sensationalism for you to buy their newspapers, and television broadcasters have to make the television news really exciting, and in order to get you to watch their television news and not the television news of another broadcaster. So we know that this is what happens, but I think many of us are not really aware that this is also what's going on now with the whole coronavirus situation. And there seems to be just a lack of real helpful information on the media because that's not really what they're into. And there's also a lack of helpful information from doctors because this whole thing is so new that they didn't study this when they were students, and many doctors are also not really aware of all the symptoms in normal people still at home. They only know about the ones that end up in the emergency wards. Yeah, and what I think is really getting out of hand are these death statistics that we're seeing almost every day about the deaths and infections in different countries. And it's becoming a bit like the sports news, like the football league or like the horse racing. Like, so now Italy is coming on the scene. Now we have Italy and China. Yes, and now we have now we have Spain coming up at the rear. Yes, Spain getting closer and closer to Italy. Oh my goodness, now in the rear we have Great Britain getting also more and more infections and more deaths. And now we have America coming in. We have deaths now in New York overtaking China, and this is just crazy because this is not really helping anybody, and especially not going to help you if you actually get the virus. So so I want to talk about what you can do and to avoid becoming fearful and to avoid passing it on to other people. Basically, all diseases are characterized by symptoms, and coronavirus produces very specific symptoms, which I've also described in other videos. And you can also see these symptoms being described by corona survivors if you just type in YouTube corona survivors. I'm not going to talk again about that. I do have some medical experience, but I'm not a doctor. I studied veterinary science, so basically I trained as a vet, but I'm just talking now as a corona survivor and somebody who has done a lot of research on the internet as regarding the symptoms and the treatment. Yeah, so supposing you start getting a cough, you start going down with these coronavirus symptoms. So what can you do? Well, one sensible thing you can do is to go to the chemist or get somebody else to go and buy a few basic things for treating the symptoms. For example, I would buy 2 bottles of cough medicine. I would buy some paracetamol, or if you're in America, Tylenol, something against these severe headaches and against body pain and against fever or high temperature. Then I would buy something against sinusitis, because that's another common symptom. I would buy something against diarrhea, or from my experience raising children, actually Coca-Cola is also quite good if you've got diarrhea. And yeah, then I would think about what you could buy that you could eat if you lose your appetite, but you still need to eat something to gain some strength. Think about what you could have that you could prepare yourself, or somebody else could prepare for you, as some soup or cereals or maybe yogurt or something like that. Make sure you've got plenty of those things at home. Yeah, so those are some basic things that you can just get those medicines from the chemist. You don't need to go to a doctor. You don't need to go to a doctor at all. If you've got the symptoms, you've got the coronavirus, and you have to stay at home. There's no point rushing off to get tested, because you're just going to be stressing yourself, which is the last thing you need. You might be infecting other people on the way. And as I say, you can diagnose yourself based on the symptoms. You don't need to test anyway, and you don't have to become part of the national statistics or the national horse race or the Corona Football League. So yeah, just try to keep calm and stay at home. Go to bed, because you won't feel like staying up anyway. I would definitely open the windows and get some fresh air. When I had my symptoms in the beginning of March, it was quite cold outside, so I had a lot of cold air coming in, but I still felt a very strong desire for fresh air. Now it's getting warmer, so that shouldn't be a problem. Keep the windows open. Yeah, make yourself comfortable, put on some nice music, try to have positive thoughts, and yeah, hopefully you'll recover after a while. If things get worse and get really bad to the point where you feel your lungs really filling up. As I definitely had a lung infection, but I could still breathe. But if you're realizing that you're having difficulty breathing, then that's the point where you definitely need to go to a hospital. Then you need to phone a hospital, tell them you've got corona symptoms, and get them to send an ambulance. But I think we have to be really careful not to overload the health systems in different countries, because the doctors and nurses really need all their time and energy to cope with the people who are dying. They don't want to have loads of people coming just wanting to be tested, or coming with symptoms that are not really serious. So let's just try to calm down, and not to get into these fear and panic situations that a lot of people seem to be getting into. Yeah, that was basically what I wanted to say, and I hope that was helpful for you. I'm not making any money out of this. I'm just trying to help people.